Cosplay World. Today is another Tip Tuesday, and so we're going to go into heating tool. My heat gun and my my little hair dryer. I keep this around. If you're wondering why I have this like really nice gun, nice heat gun and little hair dryers, it's got a lot of options, and I'm going to go into that, but it can be too powerful. There are thin cellophane things that it will just blow right on through. So I keep this around to make sure I can use those really light plastics, and it's all that's really necessary, so I'm not going to really worry about it. Also, it has a lot of the similar settings. This one goes all the way down to 225 or 125. This one's lowest setting is 250, so this is about 125 degrees cooler, and good for Warbler, like just touching those things up, those really sensitive materials. So there you go. It's also a fairly good demonstration of how a heat gun works. It's basically a toaster. You run some coil as a resistor, and it heats up as a result, and that resistance is then transferred to these metal plates here and dissipated through the fan, blowing air through, thus transferring heat to whatever the fuck you're doing. There you go. It's actually not a super complicated apparatus as far as this is concerned. It's just a fan blowing coils with resistance on them onto your work. And then we have a cool cycle. I think that's just with the fan going and only no electricity on the coils. This works similarly, but in the center of this we have a nice kind of ceramic cylinder, which uniformly and more efficiently holds heat, whereas these plates tend to cool down pretty quickly. The ceramic, once it gets going, it'll hold a pretty uniform heat, and you don't need to worry about it in the least. When they break down, the typical way they break down is one of the coils just simply gets thin and burns out. And it rapidly, even if you repair it, that kind of heightened resistance at the breakage point causes it to continuously break over and over again. As in the past I've not had money to buy a new heat gun whenever I needed one, I've gone in and kind of wired it and worked it together, but it's only a temporary fix, and I wouldn't recommend it because it's obviously electrical, risks. And with this gun in particular, you're going to have electricity bills. This is a power hog. In fact, it goes and has its, if I can, it has its own outlet, and preferably its own line, because it will cause your lights to flicker at the very least. Back in the old house, even I had it plugged into an outside line. I ran an orange extension cord all the way out a door out to the outside, and it still caused such energy drain on the building that all the house lights flickered. But the house here has a bit better wiring, so that's not an issue, or it's less of an issue. You'll see when I turn this on, it's plugged into an outlet over there. Oh no, actually it's plugged into, right now it's plugged into the same outlet as the camera and the light, so there is going to be flickering. I don't know if it's that noticeable. So there are two guns I recommend, okay? This is more for someone who's going to be doing long-term regular work with a heat gun. I've just been using heat guns for so long that I've learned to use it with plastics and foams and other materials, and so I'm pretty comfortable heat shaping most anything that is heat shapeable. So I use it regularly. It's one of my regular tools, and so I invested in the $50 model. Now there are more expensive models, but honestly, the benefit tapers off dramatically for our specific uses in cosplay. I saw, like, one of the more funny ones is a huge turbine fan on the side for peeling paint off the side of a house. Totally not a good plan for us, because it's just so powerful of a fan that you'd have very little control over the air jet, and unless you're working on something really huge and something that isn't super sensitive to heat, then it wouldn't be of any use, and it's like $80 for something I couldn't use. But the base model of heat gun, I recommend Wagner. Wagner is the brand. There are tool shops are wired like shit. Don't buy tool shop. They will burn out on you much more easily. It's a much better investment to go with Wagner in this case. I'm not sure what other companies make them, but trust me, I've bought about a dozen heat guns in my lifetime, and Wagner is been the most reliable, and you really want that with wiring, especially consuming electricity at this rate. The tool shops are tempting at $20, but unless you're only working on small projects and you don't really intention of moving forward, and it's just kind of get the job done scenario, I wouldn't buy those $20 heat guns. They're not great. I would invest the extra $10 and get the $30 model of Wagner's. So typically the $30 model will have two settings. They'll have a high and a low. The low is usually factory set to 750 degrees, whereas the high is 1,000 degrees, allegedly according to factory specs and so on and so forth. It's good for just basic working. You can figure out how to control the heat by distance to the material and control the jet by angle. Usually they do have various heads, but usually I can control the jet with just an angling whatever I'm working with. And always moving around is always important with these tools. I think if you watch any of my videos where I've used this, I'm always going. It's almost it's like muscle memory at this point. Just little circles, Okay, so what's great about this one? Why do I spend $50 on this gun? Well, it's going to last me a much longer time. It's going to last me much longer than the other tools. And there goes my heater, damn it. But oh well, we're going to end this pretty quickly, I think. It has the lowest setting of 250. I believe this one is 125, so that's why it's good for really low temperature things. And it goes all the way up to 1350 degrees, so it will handle acrylic work really well, or as well as I can do with the hand tool. If you need to do more advanced bends, I would consider moving on to a thermal element, and that's a whole different rant, and I seriously doubt that anyone watching this is going to need a full-on thermal element apparatus to bend acrylic, or if they are, they probably are more skilled with acrylic than I am. In any case, what's great about this is it has an automatic cool setting, which is a bit annoying when I'm doing audio and recording directly to you, such as this, my Monday rants, or when I'm doing this. It's because it will cool down the ceramic core gradually, and it will cool down the coils gradually, so you don't get those jumps of hot and cold. And it'll like extend the life of your gun. It'll extend the life of your wiring, which is really important. The main difference between the dial here is a nice LED display. The main difference in I'm gonna just turn this on. It has an automatic setting of 850 degrees, just comes on, and as you move the dial up and down, it's going to increase and decrease the voltage, and thus the resistance in the coils, and there you go. That's how you create more heat. And then when you go on high, there's I've trying not to look directly down the center of these things, of course. I believe there's a second set of coils that when you hit high, it not only turns the fan on higher, those coils start to heat up as well. So you have more electricity eating through this. Now, you may have noticed that we get a bit of a flickering. There you go. I don't know if that's something noticeable, but on camera, but it sure is like something akin to when fluorescent lighting is going bad. If you've been in a supermarket and that really annoying fluorescent lighting effect happens. But there you are. Has quite a lot of control. EVA foam is good at about 650 for me personally. PVC, I actually just kind of crank it all up to max because I use so much PVC and I use the gun so much that I'm used to it. But just standard setting is the way to go. And acrylic, just crank that thing up to max because acrylic's going to need a ton of heat. And here it is going to go automatic cool. Just let it sit there and put it someplace safe where it's not going to cause damage. And there you go. Now, the nozzle is obviously something you shouldn't be touching, but it isn't so hot typically that it causes damage if it falls over too quickly. You'll have time to save it, which is nice. This is my Wagner. As you guys might have noticed, I put a little S on there. And I hope I gave you a pretty good intro into heat guns and why I like them and why I choose this one. The $30 model is the good way to go if you don't intend to use it too much, but you plan on making regular cosplay. This is much more for someone who uses a lot of plastics, a lot of EVA, and just makes costumes regularly. And you definitely want to have this last for years to come. I have no intention. The cost difference is definitely worth it for me, and the controls obviously there. Oh well, I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Good times to all. Hey, looks like you made it all the way to the end. If you're interested in more new tutorials, con coverage, and other cosplay shenanigans every week, hit that sub button to get it delivered hot and fresh to you.